Dr. Dan's Freedom Forum is on the air.
Dan, are you there?
I sure am, Jesse, and it is wonderful to see you here tonight. Jesse, the title of your podcast is No One Asked Jesse, Take Two.
It is. Thank you.
That's a very interesting title. And how'd you come up with it?
No one asked Jesse. I went to a friend of mine and I had this idea for this podcast, just talking to local people in the Murphy area. And I had all these names in my head, and looking back now, they were pretty bad. But she sent me a list that she had, and I picked that one out, and I thought it was fun and modern and just exactly the vibe that I was going for.
Well, that sounds really good. I think that's a great thing because it indicates to me that you feel you should have been consulted.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. For me personally, it's kind of an indication that I don't know what's going on and I'm just trying to figure it out. People were correct in their assumption that Jesse had no clue what was going on. So he thought he'd just put himself on the internet and ask everybody if they could tell him.
So let me ask you this. You've been podcasting for how long?
We have published 3 episodes. We've been doing it for longer than that would seem. It's a lot of work, and then we've recorded. I don't know, we've probably recorded 15 hours of material. But as far as publishing, we've published 3 podcast episodes currently.
So what you're doing is you're having interviews and then segmenting them into episodes that you feel are of an appropriate length.
Trying to leave the length untouched. This is a learning process for me. Sometimes when I get the video on my computer, sometimes I feel like I want to edit too much, and then I feel like maybe that's unfair to the guest. But we have started this segmenting to where we're going to speak with an individual, and we're going to call that our spotlight series. And that's just we're speaking to an individual, and we're hoping to learn as much as we can about their lives. And usually the main focus is their career, their current career, why they do what they do, how long they've been doing it. But we obviously delve into where they came from, how they got where they are. But then recently, with the local town council elections, we've started another series which it's called Jesse Asks Around. And this is a shorter series, shorter, I'm saying, as far as episode length. We recorded one just yesterday, actually, and it was just under 30 minutes.
So, but that obviously has a purpose because you have an election coming up.
We hope so, yeah. We hope that it serves a purpose.
Yeah, and so you want to be involved in allowing people who are running for office to have a voice other than in the newspaper or of their own. I think that's very good. Are you dealing? There's an election coming up next week, actually. Have you interviewed any of those people, or are you kind of waiting for the election of 2026?
No, we're focusing on this local municipal election. Jesse asked around. What we're doing is I was just trying to speak with the new candidates for town council seats. That was just because that seemed the most accessible to me in the short window that we have with the election on the 4th of November and when I decided to start, which was a couple of weeks ago. So we've been fortunate enough to have 2 of the new candidates for town council come in, and we've spoken with them. One has been posted to our YouTube and Facebook pages. And then the one that I was referencing earlier, we recorded last night, hoping to get it out this week. And these are new candidates. These are not re-elect candidates.
Well, that's kind of interesting. I think the new candidates have most to gain because they haven't had the opportunity to have public service. If you're an incumbent, people pretty much know what you've been doing, where you stand for, and what kind of positions you're going to take. So the new candidates, they deserve, I guess, a little bit of airtime.
That's
But
what I thought.
But you also have to give the incumbents an opportunity too. Are you planning on doing that before Tuesday?
No, I don't. Simply don't have the time, and not trying to be unfair, but with just the time allowed, I just thought that was the best way to go about it. I would like to maybe think about in the future, maybe let's say a year down the road, just trying to get with town council as a whole, and just maybe what do you call it when the president does the address?
The state of the state,
State of the Union, yeah.
The state of the town address.
Yeah, just something like that. Maybe, there's more ideas than I have time.
Well, this year in 2026, locally, we have 4 commission seats, which will be up for election.
Okay.
So there's really kind of a lot of opportunity for you there.
What's the timeline on that?
Well, filing date is the 1st of December.
Yeah.
So you have between the 1st of December and noon on the 19th of December to file if you intend to run in the primary elections, which are held in March.
Okay, so this follows the same timeline as the sheriff elections.
Correct. That is correct, because the sheriff has a primary and will have a primary, a party primary, and then of course that is in preparation for the election, the midterm election in November of 2026.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind. I'm gonna start emailing right now.
Well, that's obviously one of the impacts that you can have is to have people who are running for office on your program and a list of questions and concerns that you have decided on either by yourself or by asking people to submit questions to you.
Mhm.
And then you can go ahead and have a discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. You already got my wheels turning here.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the kind of the story of why we started it. And just hoping to learn more. In a recent episode that I said that I wanted to provide equal parts entertainment and equal parts information.
Well, that's a very good balance. So, what do you do in a typical podcast? What would you consider entertainment versus information?
For me, entertainment personally comes from humor, whether that be from the host, which is me, or the guest, the interactions between the two of us, maybe purposefully editing a video a certain way. We make a lot of clips, we make a lot of 30-second, 45-second clips, and often I try to edit those in what would be considered a humorous way. So that gives me reason to do it. So if I can entertain people that way, that is great. But if I can also provide some information, commonly for me in the past, I wasn't aware of who was running for office, and I didn't particularly look, but maybe there wasn't a good avenue for me to know those things. And I think with the growth of social media and the way that people consume news and media, I think the avenue that we take in is going to be a success.
Well, I think you're right. We had before podcasts were really available, before live internet programs like this one were available. You only had the regular media, the mainstream media, and of course the newspapers and advertisements, which of course are paid for. So if you pay for an advertisement, obviously it's going to be positive for you and get out information you want. But there's no rebuttal to an advertisement. There's no rebuttal realistically in real time to a newspaper article or a reporter reporting something on TV. This type of media that you and I are sitting on here tonight is the only place that you really have true rebuttal, true discussions between people. Uh,
Yeah, I
that,
agree.
that's really what's so advantageous, isn't it? Doesn't that appear to be for you?
It does. It's so accessible. Anyone that has a smartphone is capable of going live on a number of different platforms, Facebook and YouTube. I don't know. I'm showing myself here, but I don't know if you can go live on Instagram or not. But you could spend thousands of dollars on a desktop computer, laptop computer, webcams, or you could just take out your iPhone and go live. And the accessibility is, I would say, nearing universal. And I think there's a freedom in that to be able to just connect with anyone, and just talk with them, and to have interesting conversation.
I guess you would consider that probably one of the strengths of the podcast media. If we can call it a name, it really is podcast media. It is competition to mainstream media, competition to all the other forms of media. This is media that is media of the people. If you go back to the town square It's like you're putting up a soapbox on the town square and people huddle around you. You start talking and they start talking back. Well, but now you can do it all over the world at once.
That's true. That's true. And with the internet at your disposal and millions of people, you're going to find people like minded, which isn't always, I don't think that's always what you need to strive for. I think there needs to be discussion, maybe even discord. But it is, I keep saying it, it's just refreshing to have that accessibility.
So, we've talked about the strengths of podcasting, the opportunities it gives people who listen and people who do the podcasting. You're getting opportunities on both sides. How about the weaknesses? What are the risks of podcasting as you see it?
I think the only way that you could subscribe to the podcast and having a weakness, I think that weakness would have to become, or sorry, I think that weakness would have to come from personal. That weakness would be if I only watch podcasts or I only subscribe or listen to podcasts that directly agree with me. It becomes what people like to call echo chambers. And I think if you don't challenge yourself by listening to other opinions, then it becomes a situation where you feel affirmed in your beliefs constantly through the media in which you choose to listen. That is damaging. To me, that's the only weakness, and that isn't necessarily a weakness that's technically with the form of the media. That's just how humans use it.
Well, there also, I would say, the other weakness is and I don't think it's a weakness. It is free speech at its most pure form. And if you are going to do a podcast, and if you're going to listen to a podcast, you ought to be able to say what you want. And if you don't like it, turn it off and find something else.
Yeah, that's any media for me.
So that is both a strength and a weakness. The weakness is that you really don't have an instantaneous way of fact checking on a podcast.
This is true.
And so
But I
you
mean, I
can,
think that's fair to say for TV.
well, but on a TV, you know you're listening to someone without the chance for rebuttal. When I'm looking when I and I don't anymore, but I used to watch program news type programs or on TV and get irate and angry and yell at the TV or whatever. Um, they
Were
never
you
heard
watching
me,
football?
but they never heard me.
Yeah. No, they didn't.
And here you can hear me. If you yell at me and start disagreeing with me vehemently, people are going to hear it. I'm going to hear it. You're going to hear it. And that's the way it really should be, isn't it?
Do you feel that as, I don't know what you would call it, the owner, the proprietor, the leader of a podcast, do you feel that you should open yourself up for public discussion?
I think you can. I don't think it's a question of should. It's a question of what kind of a podcast do you want to have.
That's fair. That's fair. Your podcast, I think, probably tends towards more national and world news than mine does. Mine really, I've had a few people ask me when I first started, they said, what do you hope to gain? Or what are your intentions with this podcast? And it always made me very uncomfortable because I didn't have an answer. It was just it was simply an idea that I thought, man, that sounds pretty cool. And then I had some disposable income and here we are. That was the length and the breadth of it.
So that's fine. And I really applaud you for venturing out. And you're going to have to find your own niche. You're have to find what you're comfortable with. I will tell you that doing live podcasts that are open to the public, where the public can call back, like a talk-in show, has a lot of risk. And you know that all of those talk shows on talk radio, there is a delay.
Yeah.
And there's someone who sits there and is very quick to stop a conversation that's getting out of hand, or to use language that they feel might be offensive to people. So
Yeah.
it's not really spontaneous. Here between you and I, there's nothing I can do to stop you from saying anything. There is no delay. But then again, on my format, I generally discuss things with people who are here for informational purposes. They have information about subject matter that I feel is important to give out. It's important that you know about these things from people who understand them and can discuss them and explain them. So I don't think I need censorship, and I don't censor.
Yeah. I'm against censorship really across the board. I think censorship may be argued that it could be damaging to younger eyes. I don't believe that responsibility should fall on the creators. I think that responsibility to shield those people should fall on their guardians.
You're absolutely right. That's been said many times. That's a very libertarian viewpoint, and really our founding fathers in many ways felt the same way. If they knew how free speech has evolved now, it is completely unconstitutional. There is no such thing as hate speech. There is no such thing as being forced not to say things. That's not free speech. You are not forced to listen to what I say, but you cannot deny me the right to say it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%.
So, what about finding like minded people? Is that something that's important to you?
No, no, it isn't. Like-minded people, finding those, no, that's not important to me. What I'm searching for is understanding on my end. A lot of my ambitions and a lot of what drives me is purely personal. And sometimes I sit back and I think that that's selfish, but I really don't know how else to go about life. But I just want to I want to approach people and I want to understand maybe just on a boring level what they do, but then maybe on a more personal level why they do it. And that's what drives me is I gain something through understanding other people's motivations. So like-minded really has never been something that I've searched for. It is refreshing when you find someone that you agree with on multiple points, but I feel like I can be pretty comfortable with people that I disagree with. And I find it most freeing when I can speak my mind. And if we disagree, that's fine. Then neither one of us are getting angry. Maybe we're even learning something.
Well, that really comes along with hearing other people in order to affirm or challenge your own personal beliefs, morals, or theories, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to challenge how I feel. There's been prideful moments in my life where I have felt so sure about a way that I approached life or a moral that I held dear that I just thought was I can't think of the word that I want to use, but just a moral that was so concrete that I couldn't understand any other way to look at it. And then maybe just something as simple as just the way that someone said something or they typed it out, a comment that I read, and then it just opens my mind and it just it hurts my pride, but in time, it's refreshing to know that I don't know everything.
Well, I would say it's really important for people to understand that none of us know everything. We can be specialists in some areas, but I think it's a mistake to put ourselves out as all knowing.
Yeah,
That is very prideful and basically untrue. But you can have beliefs that you have and that you hold strongly and can defend. That's fine,
I agree.
but you cannot force them upon others. You
Right.
can try to convince them, and that's probably what part of podcasting is. People listen to me, and I tell them what I believe about things. My guests tell them what they believe about things. We discuss why. But on the other end, out there, people who are listening, I have no idea whether people are agreeing, disagreeing, or converting or changing their minds. That's something you just don't know.
No, you don't. You don't. Um, you can just speak your truth.
So, what would you think of as being um, the future, your future in podcasting? What are you looking to do, and what are you looking to? How are you? What is your plan for the year? If I were to ask you that, do you have a plan for the year?
Really, my only plan is to reach out, obtain more guests, keep capturing it on video, be open to new approaches, be open to live video, be open to video that's in the field, be open to more than one guest at a time, multiple guests on camera, be open to maybe more of a discussion type, maybe episode here and there. Put myself in positions to where I can challenge some of the things that I've held dear, maybe challenge the format of my show. But to end this year, 25, which we don't have much left, I'd like to get the um, captured video and audio that we have out to the consumers. Hopefully they enjoy it. Finish out the year. We've got some on the schedule. And then just look to next year. I'm still thinking about that election in the next year that we spoke of earlier in the show. I'd like to I'm sometimes I become sometimes I'm uncomfortable with confrontation, but I think that comes from a feeling of ignorance. So I'd like to maybe give the people that watch our show some better ideas of the candidates for these elections, candidates for sheriff positions. But I'd like to approach those maybe more investigative than anything I've ever done in the past. So that's a big one that's been on my mind. I just don't know how confrontational I want to be. I don't know that it has to be confrontational. I would want to get the best information that I could to people that watched it.
Well, that's really comes with what you want to achieve in your own podcast. If you want to be confrontational, you have to do a lot more research so that you understand both sides of each issue. So if someone is there on one side, you actually have to play devil's advocate in order to become confrontational. So there's a lot more work involved in that. You really have to understand the subject matter extensively. Then you can be effective in terms of being confrontational.
Yeah.
That's, of course, one way of doing it. The other way is just to say, well, I want information to come out. I want to evoke from my guest a set of data, facts, opinions that I think would be useful for other people to have. Those are kind of the two ways you can run it.
Yeah, that would be traditionally the way that I would feel comfortable doing it, is to have someone and just allow them a platform to share how they feel, why they feel the way that they do, and what they want to accomplish. That's been the way that we've been approaching it, and I am fine with that way currently. I think it's clean and it's informative, and I do like it. I would just personally, I want to know more. And like you said, there's a lot of work involved with that. And I have opinions, of course. I'm a human being, so I want to share those, but I want to be justified in my opinions.
So one of the ways of doing that is to have a monologue, just a program where it's only you. And
I haven't really considered that. So you're saying a monologue is me sitting in the chair sharing my opinions, maybe on a current event?
exactly right. No one else there but you, and giving a coherent, thoughtful argument to support a agenda of yours, or an event of yours, or some fact that you think is important to discuss.
Okay. Is that something that you've done in the past or you do now?
Yeah, yeah, sure, absolutely. Every once in a while, I will do a monologue, like I do a Christmas monologue. I've done a New Year's monologue, Labor Day, 4th of July monologue, in which I pick the essence of the holiday and just state my opinion without a guest.
Does that do something for you personally?
Well, that's just a way of doing things. You can get your opinion out there, but you have to support it.
Yeah.
So,
That'll be another one that I'll have to add to the list of things to consider.
so there's a lot to do, Jesse.
That's a lot to do. But I'm having fun doing it.
That is the most important thing, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. Editing sometimes can be a bear, but the finished product, something to strive for, that makes it worthwhile.
I think so. So I think we've discussed a lot about podcasting and about your particular hopes and plans. I'm very enthusiastic about what you're going to do. I can't wait to see what you're going to do next year.
Well, good. I'm glad. I'm glad.
So do you have anything you'd like to give us in departure?
I just, I think that I would leave with just me putting my hopes out there. Just a hope that anyone that tunes into our show leaves feeling amused, entertained, informed, and treated fairly.
Sounds very good. And your two programs, say them both again so everyone hears them.
So we got an umbrella. So no one asked Jesse is, if you look it up on YouTube, that's what you're going to find. If you look it up on Facebook, that's what you're going to find. But in that, we've tried to separate these episodes. So Spotlight series is we find someone in the community, and these have been people personally that I was just interested in, and we talked to them. Of the posted ones that we've discussed, we talked to the town manager of Murphy, and this was about his life, what led him to town management, and what he does currently. And then the other series is Jesse Asks Around, and that's more of a current event right now, what's happening in Murphy, shorter episode lengths. And the ones that we have posted to that were in reference to the town council election that's coming up next week. But they're all under the umbrella. No one asked Jesse.
So go ahead, everybody. You know how to find him. No one asked Jesse. Jesse Anderson, thank you very, very much for coming as a guest. Take two
Take two.
on
Yeah.
Freedom Forum Live.